listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. This is Dr. Charles Laux, and we have a really cool guest today. This is a person who started out not in the string world and ended up in the string world and is absolutely killing it. I want to welcome our special guest. This is Sadie Uhing, and she's from Kearney High School in the Kearney Public Schools in Nebraska. Welcome to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. And so just tell us a little bit about your background, because like I said already, and I let our listeners know that you weren't a string person growing up. Now you are. Tell us about your journey to becoming a string teacher.
Yeah, so I actually am a trumpet player, believe it or not. And I went to college at UNK, University of Nebraska at Kearney. Mm-hmm. And I always thought I was going to be teaching band. And I did some orchestra stuff in college and I loved it. And it was a lot of fun. And then I started doing my field experiences and my student teaching. I actually did it at the high school where I teach now, but with the band.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's an interesting story.
Yeah. And so then before I graduated, I went and studied abroad in Germany.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I did kind of a music track there. And
so how long were you there? How long were you in Germany?
I was there for 2.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a great experience, I bet. What city were you in?
I was in Freiburg, Germany.
Okay.
It's like the southern part.
Southern part. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It was so much fun. Yeah. I want to go back.
I bet.
But before I left for Germany, the superintendent that I was doing my student teaching under, she was like, I'm really impressed with your work. We just got word that the orchestra position's coming open, and I've seen the rapport that you've built with these kids.
Wow.
And she's like, well, I know you're not a strings person, but I really think that we could use someone like you in our music department.
Isn't that amazing?
And she was a former teacher herself, former music teacher.
Okay.
And now she's our assistant principal. And so before she got that position, I actually did some field experience with her in her music room too. So it was such a small world.
Yeah, but that says a lot about you as a teacher and how you connect to kids and how you make those connections. And in a lot of ways, that's more important even than the subject matter, because you can learn the subject matter, and keep up with them. But if you can know all you want about orchestra teaching and then have a really bad rapport with the kids, and it's not going to help you. So you're in a great place. That sounds amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It was kind of funny because I was the first person they interviewed for the job, and they kept it open for a little bit. And then like 2.5 weeks later, I got the call on FaceTime in Germany at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's like, can we meet at some point? I'm like, well, there's an 8-hour difference, but I'll make it work. Yeah. And so I woke up and I accepted the call, and she's like, I really want to offer you this job. I want you to really think about it. And so I took a full day, and I was like, you know what? We're just going.
Just go for it. Fantastic.
Yes.
So that's just so exciting to hear how that all worked out. You were, studying abroad, and then all of a sudden you get this job offer. And you weren't even out of school yet at that time then?
No, I wasn't. I was still taking some classes, and I was still doing kind of the study abroad experience with that. But I had all of my general requirements done. I did all my student teaching, all of that. This was just kind of an added thing that I wanted to do before I graduated, because I'm like, I have the time. I'm still young. I might as well
get it done.
Travel.
That's right. Do it. Live life.
Absolutely.
Live life. Well, that's really exciting. So it's always nice to have a job lined up before you're done with college. And I was fortunate enough that my first job was the same way. I went to a national conference and interviewed with a whole bunch of districts. This was way back in 1996. And, before I graduated from university, I knew I was moving to Las Vegas and I was going to teach out there. That's where I started. So that's really cool that you had that opportunity.
Yeah. I'm very grateful.
And then how many years have you been at your school now?
So I'm going into my second year.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm fairly young yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so much. Like the moment I got back from Germany, I started taking violin lessons. I was meeting with other orchestra teachers in the area, and I was just trying to get my hands onto everything. I went to the OSU string teacher
And
workshop
that's
in the
how
summer.
I found you. So my good friend Matt Radspinner was teaching the track for non-traditional string teacher track, and you were a part of that. And he said you got to interview her. She's just killing it out there. So
Yes, Matt he is a godsend. I don't know what
yeah,
I would do without him. I've
yeah,
sent him so many emails. I've sent him so many texts. I'm like, hey, can we call? I have some questions on some repertoire. Do you think like my upper kids could handle this music, And
yeah,
because I'm very familiar with the band side of repertoire and
sure,
what kids can handle and not. And I was like, well, I just want to make sure that I'm
yeah,
doing the right things, that I'm picking the right music. I'm giving them stuff that they can kind of sink their teeth into and be challenged with, but not overwhelmed with.
sure,
And so he answered a ton of those questions for me. He gave me a whole list of repertoire,
nice.
and we did 2 or 3 pieces, and the kids loved them. So
Oh, that's
he has been,
awesome.
yeah, he has been such a great resource for me. And it's really nice to be able to know I can like text or call someone quick just with the silly
Right.
questions and just be like, am I doing this right?
Yeah, when you have those people you can rely on, I mean, just to bounce ideas off of. I mean, I'm finishing my 29th year, and I still will call my friends and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this?" And trying to change things, make it different. But having those resources is important. And then I don't know if you know the Teaching Music Through Performance and Orchestra series that GIA puts
Yes.
out. Those are a godsend too when you're just getting started and you need repertoire, and it'll tell you the ins and outs and the time signatures and key required and all those things. Those are great books.
Yes, I love those books. That was like one of the first books that I ordered on JW Pepper
Yeah,
through
and
my first order.
anything in there is great. Like all of the pieces are going to be tried and true, tested, time tested, awesome pieces.
Yeah, and I actually found out because I had the band one through
Oh,
college.
right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I found out that there was an orchestra one through,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's 4 of them. There's 4 volumes.
Yeah.
So there's great resource from GIA. So definitely you can't go wrong with those. If you've been thinking about planning a performance trip with your orchestra, but feel a little overwhelmed by the idea or don't know really where to start, Kaleidoscope Adventures has got you covered. Kaleidoscope Adventures has been planning exceptional performance travel for more than 30 years, and they understand the unique needs of an orchestra and will handle all the details from start to finish so you can enjoy the experience. If you still need some help getting the ball rolling, check out their great e-resources, including the Ultimate Guide to Planning Student Travel and the Ultimate How-To Guide for International High School Travel. Each is packed with helpful tips and advice like how to get your admin on board, fundraising, picking chaperones, and more. So connect with Kaleidoscope Adventures at mykatrip.com for your free copy, or talk with the pro planner and check out the link in the show notes when you're ready to plan your next trip. Kaleidoscope Adventures is travel beyond expectations. Tell us some of the maybe some of the challenges that you faced, like this is way different than band, or some of the things that band has helped you become a better string teacher because you have that background. Because I never taught band. I took the methods instruments, and I did a couple instruments with a little bit more emphasis, but I didn't. If I had to teach band today, I would be in a world of hurt.
And sometimes I feel like I'm in a world of hurt when I kind of hit a spot where I'm like, I'm not quite sure how I should approach this. But I go back to my resources. I go back to those people. If students have a question and I'm not quite sure how to respond or to answer to it, I'm like, let me get back to you because I want to give you the correct answer. And kids are so understanding these days. They're
That's
like,
right.
okay, yeah. And they're so patient. And I'm
That's
like, I will
good.
get you an answer in 30 minutes when I have the chance to look it up, or I can ask my friend quick, or all of those things. And they
Yeah.
are super, super understanding.
When
It's
you
really
have
nice.
that connection with them, they're going to be really
Yes,
understanding.
yes,
If you were a tyrant and they
absolutely.
did not like you, they'd be like, "Well, she's a terrible teacher," So that's all of it. It really is having that rapport and that relationship with the kids.
Yes,
And
absolutely. And that's the thing with my students. I feel like I have standards for them, and they know those standards, and they know that I want them to live up to those standards as much as they can. but they also know that I'm human, they're human, and we're just here making music together. And it's one of those beautiful things because it's so interactive, it's so exposed,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things that they don't get to experience anywhere else. And I touch on that a
Good.
lot in class, and so they're super understanding. Some differences that I've seen between teaching band and teaching orchestra, um, articulations.
Yeah.
I'm a trumpet player. Articulations all come from
It's
here.
and it's all inside. Everything on the string world is external. We can see everything that's going
Yes,
on.
yes,
And so for me, that makes I feel that makes it easier because it's like whatever's inside your mouth is a mystery to me. It's like no, I just don't. And I obviously took all the classes, and I do work with full orchestra some, but this is it's a big difference. So tell us, like, what are some of the things that besides within articulation, what are some of the things that maybe you've figured out or
Oh, it was so funny. The very first time that I saw hooked bowing, I'm like, how do you slur and staccato at the same time? My yeah, my band brain could not comprehend that one for a
makes
moment.
sense. Makes sense.
And so when I saw that for the first time, I was like, how in the world do you do that? And so, yeah, I got a real humbling moment when
That's
I
fun.
was taking some violin lessons. And they're like, oh, that's hook bowing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very embarrassing. But, you got to learn even the simple things to be able to
You
understand
know,
all of it.
that's right.
So,
That's right. And one piece at a time, one piece at a
yeah.
time. Anything else that thinking of?
Along with kind of articulation and bow stuff, dynamics too was a big thing for me because I'm like, again, everything comes from here.
Yeah.
Back your ear means you're going to get a little bit louder. Back off on the ear, you're going to get softer. But then I had to learn with string instruments, there's a couple of different ways
There's
that
a
you
whole
can
bunch
get
of
louder.
variables. That's right. Yeah.
And so that was the second thing that kind of took me a moment to wrap my brain around. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, different placements with your bow on the strings, either close to the fingerboard or close to the bridge,
Yeah.
or the weight and the speed and all of those things. I was like, I did not realize it was this expensive. And
Yeah. And I think I think it's probably one of the most challenging um, things teach in string teaching is just the bow itself. I mean, there's so many variables, and no matter how hard you work, you're still working to master it, and that and intonation, obviously. But for me,
yeah,
those are the two big things.
absolutely.
Yeah. And how
Yeah,
about?
and that's it.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, since you brought up intonation, that's another thing that was a little difficult for me because I was like, man, all you gotta do on your instrument is just like pull in or out, on a band instrument. But
Yeah, and you're pressing.
just
I mean, there's obviously more than just pressing buttons or whatever.
yeah,
But
for the
is
most part, once
do
you
you
get
think it's a little
everything,
easier in the band world to play in tune?
yes,
Okay. Yes, you said
a little bit, yes.
it.
Because
Yeah.
I've even talked to my band colleagues about this. They're like, why is intonation such a thing in orchestra? And I'm like, honestly, it just depends on the finger placement and how they finger, like all of those things. And yeah,
It's millimeters.
yes.
It's
And I said that, I'm
millimeters.
like, it's just any slight movement that you make on a string instrument, it's gonna completely change the sound and the
100%.
tone. And yeah, even I myself learning violin too, I was like, man, my intonation is bad.
Yeah.
And so I
It
learned,
takes, I mean, again, that's something that I think everyone continues to try to master.
yes,
And I tell my students, and this is the same thing for anyone beginning, or younger players, is that the difference between you and I is that I make maybe some fewer mistakes, but I make less drastic mistakes, and I also, the number one thing is that I fix them faster than you, and so you don't hear my mistakes. So it's that recovery, that we have for making mistakes that you get better at as you play longer.
yes, absolutely. And I always tell my kids, I'm like, if you mess up, don't stop. Like that's the worst thing with sight reading, all of those things. If they mess up, they get so hung up on it, then they get stuck, and then they get lost, and then they don't know when to come back in. And so I always touch with my kids. I'm like, okay, we are going to go through this whole piece. If you get stuck, don't stop. Just try to pick up right where you left off.
Find the
and
next
keep
measure.
going.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I see that all the time with sight reading
Yeah.
and just new pieces and stuff. I'm like, don't stop, just pick right up.
And then
And
so
it's
you're
easier said than done, but
yeah. Yeah. You're teaching high school, but you also teach 8th grade. Is that right?
yes. So I actually have a traveling position.
Two-
So I
two
stay
posi-
at the high
two
school
schools.
through the whole morning. I've
Okay.
got 3 classes there.
Great.
And then I go to Horizon Middle School. I drive there and I teach the first 8th grade class. And then I go to Sunrise Middle School after that and I teach the other 8th grade
So
class.
you're at 3
And both
buildings
of
a
those-
day.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
challenging.
It is.
Yeah.
But it keeps our retention really high. I mean,
Right.
I've got 25 kids in both middle schools. And then when they come to the high school, I almost get all of them.
That's
I
great.
think maybe this last year, I only had 2 kids that didn't do orchestra going into 9th grade. So
That is
it keeps
huge.
everything.
That is
Yeah.
huge. And that again, it's about the relationships and it's about them knowing you. So
Yes.
you're recruiting every day.
Yes.
You don't have a
Every
recruiting
day.
time. Like every day is recruiting time. And and if you're a jerk to them, they're not gonna come up to you. It's a high school. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
And I think it helps because with my 8th grade, I feel comfortable to play with them because I'm like, okay, I'm more at this level. Like I can be a little more open with them. And they notice, oh, my teacher's still learning. My teacher's still making some of the same mistakes as I. Sometimes it's very humbling for me. But for them, I think it's more awakening for them because they're like, oh, my mistakes are okay. And I can learn from them and I can get over them faster.
Yeah.
And so it's a fun experience to play with them, and I'm really good at showing them what not to do.
That's great. Kids love to find mistakes that you're making, at least in my students. And I said, okay, I'm allowed one. I'm allowed one today. Give me a break. Give me a break, kids.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you have what in your district then? When do the students start? Is it 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade?
5th grade, yes. So my colleague, she actually teaches 5th through 7th grade, and we've got 10 elementary schools in our district, and so she goes to all 10. And
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's a few times a week. It's not every day, obviously, right?
Yes, it's not every day.
Yeah.
But she teaches at all 10 of the elementary schools.
And elementary goes through 5th grade?
Yes.
Or 5th grade. Okay.
Yep, 5th grade. Yep. So she teaches all the 5th grade, and then she teaches 6th and 7th grade at both Horizon and Sunrise Middle School as well.
So she has 10 schools total, or 12 including?
She's got 12.
Wow. Yeah. So she needs you there to teach the 8th grade. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously, you guys probably have a good working relationship. But is it difficult for her to not have the top middle school group, or she's content?
She loves having the younger kids.
Yeah.
She's
a beginner specialist.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. She's a beginner specialist, which I am grateful for because I bless all of those beginning teachers, because some of the sounds that come out of those rooms, it's so, because I love high school and I love repertoire and I love being able to give those challenging music to those students that need to be challenged.
Yeah.
And I love seeing them work hard at it and make beautiful music. And I know in order to get there, you have to start at the beginning strings, and you have to start with, this is the D string.
Right.
And
yeah.
this is your bow hold. And I wish I had the patience for that.
Okay. So is it difficult for you, because you're younger and your high school students are maybe only literally a few years younger than you? Have you found that to be challenging at all?
Yes. I still walk in the hallways, and I have.
Are they asking you for hall passes?
Yes, hall passes. I've got my ID right here, and it doesn't help. I'm only 4'11", so I'm very short.
Okay. Yep. That does not help.
I blend in very well.
So what are some of the things that you do with your students to maybe differentiate you from them? Or I mean, are there some strategies you've used or things you've had to say or do?
Yeah. So I already like established the boundary at the beginning of the year. Like, I hate to say this and it seems kind of rude, but I'm not their friend.
Right.
I'm their mentor. I'm their teacher. And it's like, if you need to talk to me about anything or you're worried about anything, of course, come talk to
Sure.
me. But I can't be that person for you that's gonna like be buddy buddy and
No. Yeah.
so
And it's, I think that's just any age, but especially when you're there, you know. 'Cause I was there too, and when I first started teaching, I taught middle school, but I did some subbing at the high school, and the students were, you know, 4 years. The seniors were 4 years younger than me, which I could have been in school with them, I guess, you know.
right.
So that's just it's a kind of a weird thing at first, but when you get to be my age and you get start getting the gray hairs, and you're just like, you got this, yeah, you got this.
It was a little bit of a challenge at the beginning of
Yeah.
the year, but once the kids kind of knew what I wanted and what I expected, like the very first day of school, I just had a slideshow of just expectations that I asked of them, and I just kind of set some ground rules, and they picked up on it very well.
That's great.
And very fast.
You didn't
And
have any trouble with your seniors, like because the other teacher left and now you're the new person and that was their senior year. Did you have any of those kind of troubles of old teacher, new teacher? And I know you can only probably say so much, you know, obviously but
yes, I
Yeah.
did have a little bit of issues with that.
Yeah.
The last teacher was a little more lax and kind of let them do what they wanted at the end of classes. I was like, we're going to go up until 4 minutes before the bell, then you can start packing your stuff up. And they were used to getting 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah. So you have to draw that line, and it's sometimes challenging.
Yes, and I was that person. I'm like, don't start packing your instruments up yet. Put your cases down.
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
Yeah. I don't like it when I'm giving final directions and then you can see the students are like reaching for their case. It's like, no, wait. I get that.
And then you get the occasional eye rolls, and yeah.
And that's just high school kids. I mean, I have high school boys now, and I get the eye rolls all the time, mostly because of my jokes that I did, my dad jokes. But
that's fair.
Yeah. So this is awesome. So what are you kind of considering now, or what are your goals, I guess, with your program? You have 3 classes. How many students total in those in your 3 classes at the high school?
So at the high school, in just my concert orchestra, which is just freshmen, I've got 36. And then in my symphonic, I've got, which is 10 through 12, I've got 80.
Oh, wow. In one class?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of full orchestra stuff
in
the second half of the semester. Yeah.
Nice.
And then we have 140 kids.
Yeah.
So it gets to be kind of big, but it's fun. And then we have our select camerata. And I've got about 30 kids.
Nice.
So
what piece, or what are some of the pieces you played maybe last year so we give us an idea? Are you like grade 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6? What would you say?
I like to do a mix of everything.
Sure.
Like, I know I can give my symphonic kids, my symphony kids, a grade 2, and they'll play it beautifully. And sometimes I like doing that because then they can be more expressive. They can be more musical with it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Getting kids to really play the music and get into it, their heart into it, and play musically, you know, that's just, I tell my students, I said, you cannot take this piece for granted. You know, it may be easier, but you need to play it like it's the most difficult piece and bring as much out of it as you can.
Yes. Yeah. And I've found some of those pieces to be some of the crowd favorites of expression and everything. So I would say my symphony probably does anywhere between grade 2 and 4.
Okay.
And then my camerata 3 and some upper level 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then do you have other goals for, I mean, I know that you're also, I saw that you were involved in ASTA, which is great, which is great to do.
Yes.
And quite the resources. Can you tell us anything that you're doing with ASTA?
Yeah, so I actually, at our NMEA, our Music Educator Association, I got to meet Blair Williams, which she is awesome. I got to talk to her a lot. Yes. and she shared a bunch of resources with me. She
Great.
did a couple of presentations. I got to get to know her pretty well, which was nice.
Yeah.
And she's such a great resource.
Yeah.
She showed me everything ASTA. I also went to a session with Rebecca McLeod.
Oh, Rebecca. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
learned a lot from her as well. So we're definitely getting the resources that we need
That's
to
good.
be able to do that. And I'm meeting a lot of people as well, which is super nice.
Yeah. You got it. The networking that you get through ASTA is like immeasurable, you know, and
Yes.
I wouldn't be where I am today without ASTA and the people I've met and the opportunities I've had and just conferences and everything. It's just fantastic. It's great that you're involved with that. Because there's a lot of teachers that are just, you know, they're worried like, well, I'm a band person or whatever they're going to say, you know, and they're maybe afraid to get involved for being judged or whatever. But you know, you come across as very hungry for information, hungry for resources. You want to get better, and obviously you went to the Ohio State workshop, and that just probably was a great experience for you as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just accepted the position for Nebraska ASCA to be the secretary.
Nice.
So
Congrats.
I'm trying to get involved. Thank you. And trying to get involved in just our state ASTA. And then this last March, I went to the ASTA conference in Georgia. And so I got to meet a ton of people there.
I didn't see you there, unfortunately, but.
Oh, darn.
Are you planning to go to San Francisco?
Possibly.
Yeah. It's a little far.
In my schedule, yes.
Yeah, it's a little far. I know. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm hoping to get there, but it'll be great. I mean, it'll be a really cool conference, obviously being there, and then they always just have the best sessions, you know. Do you guys in your NMEA, I guess that's right, Nebraska?
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
I got it. Do you have a pretty strong string track there, or is it just a few things?
We have a few things. It's not as big as we'd like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
We've got like in our Omaha area and our Lincoln area, we've got really strong string program.
Okay.
And then I'm in the middle of Nebraska, and we have the biggest strings program in our area of the state.
Good for you.
Yeah. And then we've got two other schools that have decent string programs as well. We're actually called the Tri-Cities because it's Kearney, and then Grand Island and Hastings.
Okay.
So we're actually in the process of getting started with the Tri-City Youth Symphony, so we can give these kids more opportunities, because we're seeing everything that they're doing in the Omaha and Lincoln schools, and we're like, we need to be doing that too. So
yeah, good for you guys. Yeah, that's the youth orchestras are fantastic, and just give kids that extra opportunity to play more and maybe play something more challenging and take an audition or whatever it might be. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for some of our gifted students that have been playing for a long time, they get the opportunity to play with the Kearney Symphony Orchestra as well.
Oh.
I've played in the Kearney Symphony Orchestra through trumpet.
Right. You're going to work your way up. You're going to be violin in there someday.
Yes.
That should be a goal. That should be a goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to have those resources at NMEA. I actually did a presentation last year, got accepted for a presentation, and I did, hey, how to get started as a string teacher that's not a string teacher.
Wonderful.
And so, yeah, I shared a bunch of insights, and I shared some stuff that I learned at the OSU workshop, and yeah, it was really good. I had a decent turnout there, and because some students, they teach band or like they do middle school, but then they have to do orchestra and band in some of our schools in Nebraska. Okay. So they're like, that was really helpful, and it's nice to be able to know that I'm not the only one teaching both or going back and forth between strings and band, and so.
Well, congrats on being a go-getter. Doing a presentation after your first year teaching is something to be said for. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I went to your session, the adjudication session that you did. Mm-hmm. And I learned a ton from that. And with that, because you talked about just some things to listen for, some things to kind of check off your list. And I went through all of that, and it was super helpful. Like, we went to a couple of competitions, and the kids were like, wow, that's the most prepared I've ever felt going into these competitions in a long time.
That's
actually
got to be a good feeling to hear those things.
Yes. Absolutely. And seriously, the information that you shared from that, it really helped me.
Oh, good.
In my my year of teaching as well. And so I sent in a recording to see if our select camarada could get selected for NMEA to perform, and we did. I just got an
Yay!
email last week.
So you just found out?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's an exciting. So when is your conference? What month is it in?
It's in November.
November.
So,
Oh, it's early
we're in the fall.
compared to a lot of states. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Most states have it in the spring.
Yes. Yeah, they have it
But
January
for
through
some
March.
reason, for some
Okay.
reason in Nebraska, all of the sports and stuff are in the spring, and it's really hard to get out of that with
Well,
everything.
how big is your high school? How many students total? Do you know?
Oh, I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Is it? Would you say it's small or large or in the middle?
Medium, large?
Okay.
I would say like each year we're graduating probably 700.
Oh, that's pretty good size then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I would call that a large high school. If you're 700 a class, that's a large. That's bigger than mine. I'm about 1900.
I'm not quite sure how many. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, if you were at a smaller school, sometimes it's challenging because kids do everything. Like, oh, you're in the orchestra, but you're also on the track team and this and do this and do this and this. There's less kids to, do all the things, I guess. But it sounds like you're at a pretty good sized school. So yeah, awesome. Yeah. Well, have you thought about programming for your November concert, or you've been working on that?
I have. Yeah. Yes.
So
I always try to pick something. Yeah, I try to make it that they have a little bit of classical, a little bit of something fun, something that's maybe not so orchestral like jazz. I love jazz.
Yeah.
And I love making my students do jazz.
Well, and as a trumpet player, if you play jazz band, which I'm guessing you have, you understand that genre probably better than most string players do as far as style, there's nothing worse than bad string swing. And it happens a lot,
Yes.
So, well, that's cool. Well, that's so exciting. I bet you're going to have a very busy first semester then.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and it'll be your third year teaching.
Going into my second year.
Going into your second year, and you got a group playing at the conference. You've done a presentation. Like I said, Matt was right. He's like, she is killing it. You are killing it. That's amazing to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the kids see how excited I am to get them to do these things because they didn't get to do so many of those opportunities in the past.
Sure.
And so they're excited about it because we've never done this and we want to do this. And then that gets me fired up and I'm like, let's see how many opportunities we can get you. And so it's exciting to see them fired up, which fires me up. And we kind of got this whole thing going on where we're like pumping each other up.
Well, the vibe and is really what it's all about. And just having that enthusiasm, and that drives kids to practice. It drives kids to, listen and follow directions and do all those things that sound like they're doing for you. So,
yeah. And it's one of those things too, you kind of have to be creative with getting kids' attention. So, when I was working with the band, we had a saying. It was like, "Hey band, hey what?" And so when they'd say, "Hey what?" dead silence. Nobody was allowed to talk. That was.
So you say, "Hey band," and they say, "Hey what?"
Hey what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what do you say?
I say, "Hey orchestra." They go, "Hey what?" And that gives me the chance to speak when I need to if they're chatting and they're getting.
That's a really great. Just attention getter. And a way to keep order and get it quickly.
Yes, especially in the high school setting because they don't want like the cringy ones that you.
Yeah, they're not going to fall for that one, right? Right, because it's really corny, I guess, for them. But that's great. That's great. That sounds like an awesome strategy. Any advice or things that you would give to anyone was in your situation teaching band, thinking they were, I'm doing the band thing, and now considering orchestra or why they should consider orchestra? Do you have any words of wisdom as a second year teacher? Words of wisdom, but this is a great. I mean, you've taken it full on. So yeah, just tell us if you have anything.
Honestly, just get your foot in the door. Like meet people. Don't be afraid to go up to people and say, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I've heard your name from other things, and I want to get to know you. I want to pick your brain about this.
Mm-hmm.
If now's not a good time, could I get an email? Could I get a phone number? Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. And I've been very humbled by that, because there's a stigma of not knowing what you don't know. And it's okay to not know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I've just learned to ask for help. And even if I don't necessarily need the help, I like to ask for a second opinion. You say, hey, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this?
Because you get a second opinion, and then maybe it's the same. And you're like, okay, guys, I'm confirmed. I'm going to do this. Or maybe it's different.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now I really have to think,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And go to those events. Like our parent group, we call it Opus in Nebraska. Okay. And they paid for me to go to ASTA, the conference. They paid for me to go to the OSU workshop.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, they wanted to see me succeed, because they want me to teach those things to their students and to keep the program running. And so ask for help. Just, it doesn't hurt. The worst they can say is no.
Right. So, and I would say when you ask people for help, I would say 99 times out of 100, people are more than willing to help and more than willing to, give back to the profession. And that's something that a lot of us do, and to continue all the great things that go on with orchestra, we just love it. So we love helping people. I love, mentoring new teachers and doing all that. So, yeah. Well, this has been so fun to hear about your journey, and looking forward to hearing more about all the great things that you're going to be doing. You're just getting started, so it's really exciting to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, and congrats. It's awesome. It's just so refreshing to hear a young teacher just get so excited about the profession, and it's not an easy job that we have.
It's not. And I've definitely had my moments where it's just like, wow, that was exhausting. That was a hard class today. There's been, especially like in my first year of teaching, there were maybe 2 or 3 times where I'm like, I walked out of the classroom and I maybe shed a few tears, because I was like, man, that lesson didn't go as well as I wanted it to. That didn't pan out how I wanted it to. But the thing is, as a teacher, you have to keep reflecting, and you have to keep asking yourself, what can I do to be better? Why did it go off the rails like that? Keep asking yourself those questions. Record yourself. I record myself.
It's the hardest thing in the world, isn't it?
Oh,
it's so painful to watch yourself teaching. I put all these podcasts out, and I'm like, I look stupid there. I sound stupid there. It's like I have to keep working too.
Did I really sound like that? Did I really say that?
Right. So no, I totally get it. But you have that's great advice. Is just to continuously be self-reflective, and if you want something bad enough, you work hard and you will achieve it. But Absolutely. It's not going to be given to you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to work for it, just like everything else in life. Yeah. If you want to be good at it, you got to practice. Yeah. I like to tell my kids, it's like, practice to be good, but being good is also fun.
Mm-hmm.
Being good is fun, but in order to be good, you have to practice.
Yeah. The investment, it's the investment. Yeah. So there's a lot of kids, that, and they're always surprised, because, I'd be frank with them, and I'll be like, you didn't practice at all for this playing test or this audition. And they're like, how did you know? It's like, we've been doing this long enough. We just know, right? But, and you start to develop that sense of what they're capable of, and you could see in them, within them, that they have it in them to be amazing, but they just haven't put in that work. And so sometimes you just need a motivator for them to do that.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. Well, I'm super, super excited for you. Enjoy the rest of your summer. I see you're at school right now, so getting some stuff done. We got to do it, right? We got to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
But
makes it easier during the school year. Some of these things are just done, so I don't have to worry about them.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. I will put your contact information in the notes if anybody wants to reach out to you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
Ask some questions about the journey, or maybe they have questions about their journey, and they want some reassurance from the trumpet player.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and again, all of us string teachers are very happy to help you or anyone else out there listening, helping with just general questions, whatever it might be. And that's part of the reason I do this too, is I learn, and I also like to give back. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of your summer, Sadie. And for everyone out there listening, this is episode number 110, and we're signing off. Thank you for listening. You can support the work I do by hitting that like button and subscribing to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast YouTube channel and visiting www.orchestrateacher.net.